Hello, everyone. There has been a good wave of posting to the TDU Student Lighting Forum page, and I just wanted to address all of them right now through a video. I have been moving the last couple days, so my reactions haven't been quite as quickly. I've been buried in boxes and no internet between two apartments, so I just wanted to hop in and talk through some of these amazing posts that have been coming up because the work has been really incredible, and I didn't want them to go by without giving them the proper time and attention. So I'm going to go through five posts that have been done in the last day or so. So we have Martin doing the Power of Lighting Challenge along with Eugene working on that as well. Sophia, another amazing post. So all three of these are great and they're very, very different. So I think it's very cool to talk through. We have Anton and Kira doing concept work for the upcoming animated lighting challenge. So lots of good stuff. I just love how first off, all five of these images are phenomenal, and all five of them are so independent and unique from one another that it's going to be a lot of fun to talk about. Okay, so I want to start with the Power of Lighting, the Power of Light challenge, and start with Martin. We have this a similar setup between the Road to Perdition and your setup there. I think you are hitting all of the main elements, and you're doing so beautifully. The one thing I would encourage you is, and a lot of this stuff is nitpicky because your structure is there. You've got the framing element of this foreground person here. You've got the bright light coming in here. And then you've got some soft, subtle secondary lights happening around these outsides here. And I think that, again, your structure is perfect. Everything is in place. Everything's looking good. Now we're at the point where we're going to just kind of noodle things a little bit. A couple areas of the noodling that I think that can occur is I think that you can go just slightly brighter with the area over here with the light that's kind of hitting and causing shaping here on the barrels and all that stuff. It's nice that they are less than this main area, and that's definitely what we want. But I think there's too much of a difference right now. I think that you can just lift that up just slightly because those lights, especially these discs, where we're going to be seeing the light source, they feel a little bit clamped and because it's like you're seeing the light source, they're going to be bright white. And then if you pull that down to gray, then it starts to feel CG or artificial a little bit, and that's not what we want. And I think that if you look kind of in the foreground here, I think that you could possibly go just a touch, like a nudge warmer with the light, just like a fraction of a degree. And then additionally, I would add a little bit, like a tiny bit, like 10% or 5% of the value of this key light, but just a slight bit of bounce light up in here, just to get a hint, just to create a slight difference between the shadow fill value. Just because this light is so bright to cause that rim, you would expect there to be a little bit of secondary play in there. And you can kind of see it up underneath his chin. You can see a little bit of glow in his ears there. And then I would also soften this shadow. Like if you could increase the intensity. I'm sorry, not the intensity, the radius of this light slightly, just to get a slight softening on that shadow. It just feels a little bit harsh, a little hard-edged. And then just because I really like that you're simulating the bottle with this cone here, but I think the cone is coming out too sizzling white hot because it doesn't have the same shader quality as that. I would either tone that down or you can just remove that. I love where your intention is, but I think that we can lose that a little bit. And the last thing that I want to do is, this is a technique that I add to, if you've ever watched these critique videos before, you'll see me do these often, where I will take the image, and what I'm looking at is, again, there's the hard edge here around this light, and it looks like a disc there, where there's a little bit of softness, a little smoke in the air, a little bit more diffusion. So what we can do is we can add that in ourselves a little bit. And this is going to be just a quick mock-up. So I just copy the layer. We can blur it up by a handful of pixels. We can screen it back on top of itself. And then bring down the amount that we want to kind of fill it in. Now, obviously we don't want it on the original. Let's go ahead and take that off. And now we can have a little bit of that fog effect in there. A little bit of that light glow. It's a little heavy-handed right now, but it just kind of softens the edge of all this stuff, and it really kind of helps hone it in and create a little bit of a visual buzz, a little bit of a visual halo that's going on. So I think that's a really cool element. But I definitely think you're on the right track. You're moving along nicely, and that's good to see. Eugene, all we were working on here, we've got the original on top here. Just working on getting this, dialing this value in, and I think you're in a really good spot right now. And I just, sorry to be finicky about that, but that is a very, very difficult thing. It's something that we struggle with often in animated films, and that's how to light a purely an all white character like we did on Peanuts when I was lighting Snoopy, or likewise it's the same issue with characters that are all that are very, very dark, that are very black in tone, like Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. I talk about it a lot in the character lighting class, so I don't want to repeat myself too much, but this value is very tricky to get. And it's like a very super bright white, but it's at no point is it blowing out. And by blowing out, I mean it's not like if I take this and just kind of nudge this value up, you can see where it starts to. It's like it burns out in here, and it gets to a point where there's no longer any sort of value variation. Like it's still white, and that's okay to do that, especially if we're going for something photographic, because photographs have areas that are beyond white that aren't perfect, and you want to reach that, but again, you don't want it to feel too hot, too sizzly, too distracting to the viewer's attention. I do want to point out that you've got a lot of really great stuff going on in this image. Like, look at this, everyone, pay attention to the shaping in the background. Look at the subtle connection between the warm space of the foreground and the cool space of the background by creating some shaping in here. Just some like nice, subtle shaping going back into here. The one thing that I think that you can add is that you can add just a slight bit of, turn that off, sorry. We can add a slight bit of darkening up here at the top. So if we take this and we, let's just go ahead and expose this down just a little bit, just like a crude example. And just kind of erase, make this edge a little bit softer. And then just kind of dial it in. What we can do, and actually we'd want this a little bit more. Let's just go like this. Blur this up a little bit more than that. Okay. Now you can see there's like some mocked up visual shaping going on this way. Let's go take it off the sphere there. And you can see there's a little bit of darkening as we go vertically along the space, and it creates just like a little bit of more variation, more shaping in the background. Because if you think about light coming down from above and kind of hitting it, or like coming through a portal like a window or a skylight or something and hitting that space, you wouldn't exactly get it uniformly against the wall. It would kind of be shadowed off and then hit actually at the lower levels. And you can kind of see it a little bit here. There's a little bit of darkness towards the top. So just something to add in there if you want. But like I said, I think this is a really strong piece. I think it's really, really nicely done. And I definitely think that you can move forward as is. Sofia, this is really beautiful. I like the way that you're connecting again with the original reference. Everything's working out really nicely. The one thing that I think that, and I really like these glow values that you're getting in here and the subtle rims that you're getting on the character. And I think that the one thing that your color's close, but I think we're missing kind of these mid-tone blues, these little bit of darker tone blues, like they're a little bit richer, where yours feels a little touch lifted. So what you can do in this particular case is you can take something like either the black levels or like the black point in Nuke or in Photoshop. I would just take this and just like sneak this up just slightly to the point where you're gonna get some of those more like rich midtones. And what happens there is then you just need to back off the saturation a little bit in order to get it to match up with that original. So now maybe the saturation needed to be there. Yeah, I guess the saturation was fine where it was. But you just want to create those rich, darker values in it versus what we had before, which was, let's go ahead and compare it to that, like that. So you want to make sure to get some of that. And then additionally, if you want, it might be kind of cool to turn this into a mirror and just make sure that that's going okay, because you can see that the mirror is actually creating this reflection. Well, this is going to be really big, but this reflection around the character here that's really helping frame up the elements. And I think that would be a really cool thing to add, like similarly to how you have the reflection here. And it's just something that you might want to add in like off camera here if you want to. But overall, again, I think this is really, really nice. I really like the balance that you're getting, the warm cool combinations. Everything's just kind of like falling together really nicely here. It just has a good overall feel to it, so I want to commend you on that. Anton, really cool. Literally, it's lots of cool light in here in this space. I think there's a lot of potential here. I love how you're using the bright red iris to pop off from the cool background. You're using tones and values within the character to pop him or her, I'll just call it the creature, off from the background. And like the way that you're able to get some like very bright rims on here is really nice. I think there's a chance that you have for a lot of dynamic light in this instance. So the one thing about a city at nighttime is that it's never still. It never gets too dark. What I'm feeding from is like this little bit of bounce light up underneath here, where you can create some under kind of creepy lighting on the creature as it's going through the space, especially if you want to think about cars driving underneath it or tanks or something like that. So like it would be nice to get this underlight that kind of moves off camera underneath it. And then additionally, it'll be nice if you're deciding to use those missiles that are coming out to create like some pops of light bouncing on them as it's coming on. But overall, I think your color key is really, really nice. The one question I had was just over here. I wasn't sure if that was like another light source or if that was just reflection or if that was like, I guess it could be like a helicopter beam on it, which would be really cool and just kind of like spinning around. And then you'd want to make like volumetric light shining in from above. That could be cool. And that would be something too that would really kind of help make the scene more dynamic, because this is shaping up to be like a very frenetic look to it, where it's like lots of lots of lights moving around and that kind of thing. That's if you want to go that way. Additionally, you could do it as like this creature has knocked out power to the entire city, so you can do like a desolate city, like turn off all the lights and then just make those pops of missiles or whatever's flying at the creature kind of make it stand out. So a lot of cool potential. Really like the structure that you're building here, and I think it's got a lot of room to become something amazing. Conversely, Kira, you've done this kind of sunset scene, which is just so many beautiful colors, lots of cools and warms, and just a lot of prettiness. The one thing that I was going to have you watch out for is just, again, these brighter elements. You don't want, we got this building back here that's a little bit on the bright side and a little bit drawing the eye back there. So I would just want to make sure to keep the focus. And again, same thing, especially right in here. Just watch out for that stuff when you actually come to lighting. You don't have to change the color key or anything, but just make sure that you're maintaining the focus on the face, on the body, and the one thing that I really like that you're picking up here on is the way that this warm light's gonna creep across these wrinkles in the skin of the creature and create this kind of like shaping in there, so you can kind of feel the skin and the tonality of everything. Love the texture mock-up on the horns. I really think you all have a lot of potential here. This is just really beautiful stuff. Love how we're getting nice and deep and dark in the foreground. It's really creating a good sense of space. You've always had a good sense of an environment. It's just about getting the creature to read off of it. And it's going to be really cool stuff. Love this tower back here. And so I think you all are in a great place. Again, love all of the work that's coming out. Keep going. This is so exciting for us. Excited about the creature products. Excited for more of the Power of Light challenges. We've got some new assets that we're building for you guys too. Lots of good stuff on its way. So keep going, keep producing. Oh my gosh, I'll get that off soon. Happy lighting, everybody.